What's up, guys? Welcome back to Carbon Scoring for another Marvel Legends mystery box. Now, this one is going to be good because I really have not opened this box in years. I was actually up in my attic looking for a box of Marvel Legends Icons figures, the 12-inch figures, because we're going to have a mystery box on those coming up in the next few weeks. And I bumped into this, and I'm like, what is this? And I glanced at it and I realized, nope, that is a mystery box that I have not seen in forever. I didn't even know that there were Marvel Legends figures up in my attic. I thought they were all in my storage unit. So I can't wait to crack this thing open. If you're new to the channel, we do our mystery boxes where these are my figures that I've collected over the decades that have been in storage. And we pull them out, we go through their history, we learn a little bit about them. Hey, let's do this. Let's crack open this mystery box for real and see exactly what we have got. Let's just start with this Ghost Rider figure. So I think this was from the very, very early days of Hasbro on the line. I want to say this was part of the Terrax Build-A-Figure wave. And I'm actually not that familiar with this version of Ghost Rider, but I am familiar with how awesome it is. Look at that blue flame effect and that incredible blue skull, and has got the leather jacket, got so much detail down on the legs. Oh man, I love these flame effects coming off the top. Unbelievable. Now, here's a character that I do know. So obviously this is the mighty Thor, but this is actually, I can tell from the size of it, this is not a Marvel Legend. This is one of the, I want to say this was a Disney Store exclusive in the Marvel Select line. But what I love about it is just how curvy this figure is. I mean, that is I hate that it's a little bit big. It'd be hard to put this in a Marvel Legends display, but that very, very much has Jack Kirby's look to the mighty Thor. So while we got Thor, here is one of the figures from the Return of Marvel Legends, and this is Thor, but this is the Brazilian, I believe he's Brazilian artist, Oliver Copiel's version. So when JMS took over Thor, this was the version that Oliver Copiel drew, and it's kind of become sort of the standard look for Thor. So it's really kind of, this is Thor's classic look, and then this is Thor's new sort of contemporary look. But great figure, great size, love the detail of the armor on here, and it really does pair up perfectly with the artist style, which I always love. It's just a whole box full of Thors. So again, as soon as I pick it up, I can tell that this is 7 inches. So this is another Marvel Select figure, but this is obviously Chris Hemsworth movie Thor. So got a little bit of a different look to Mjolnir from the movies. You can see how they clearly borrowed from the designs of the contemporary Thor when designing the movie Thor, but they also borrowed, see the 6 circles on both of their chests. So when you look at it that way, you can realize that the movie figures really did, the movie designs took from sort of the best of all of the eras of the comics. But here's our little run on Thor. I think I see a bunch of Captain Americas, but before we get to Cap, here is another Marvel Select Hawkeye, and a very, very classic representation of Hawkeye. He's got, his tunic actually has a A for Avengers on his belt there. It's a nice quiver with a bunch of different bows. Can't really tell if there's any kind of trick arrows in there, but as I look at this figure, one of the things that really stands out to me is that head sculpt looks like a John Byrne drawing. I don't know if you guys can see it the way that I can, but when I look at that, that really looks like the way John Byrne drew Hawkeye. So love the colors on that. Look at how bright that blue and purple pops, and, the detail of the striping going all the way down his costume. Yeah, again, I'm pretty sure these were Disney Store exclusive Marvel Select figures, but so great. All right, let's grab him. The figure that spawned 1,000 other figures. I have been wondering where this daggum thing was. I could not tell you. I've been missing him as we've gone through these other mystery boxes, but this is the infamous Bucky cap. So here is Bucky Barnes when he took over the S.H.I.E.L.D. during the period of time when Captain America died. Captain America was killed right after the Marvel superheroes secret war, the Civil War, where Cap and Tony were on opposite sides of the Superhero Registration Act. Tony, Iron Man, was in favor of registering the superheroes with the government and kind of becoming sort of licensed weapons, whereas Cap felt like that kind of interference would negate their ability to act freely and act justly, and they would just become operatives of the government. It was really well done. It was actually really well done in the Civil War movie as well. They did a nice job of explaining it. But right after, so Cap's side lost, and Captain America surrendered. He was taken into custody, and as he was coming out of the courthouse, he was shot and murdered. And so for a period of time in the Captain America books, there was no Captain America. I mean, for like 6 months in the comics, the Captain America comic did not have a Captain America until finally the resurrected Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, took up the mantle. Now, obviously some differences. Bucky carries a gun. He has a suit that is reminiscent of Cap's original kind of diamond-shaped shield, which is pretty cool. And he's got much more of this metallic paint, which Hasbro did a great job of bringing out on this figure. But what this figure is mostly known for is being the generic body from which so many other Marvel Legends figures were built off of. So there he is. I finally found my Bucky cap. Oh, this is a cool one. So we recently, is this Vault Guardsman? I want to say this is. So I think this is a kind of generic Vault Guardsman figure. I don't remember exactly which line this was in. It may have been in one of the Iron Man movie sublines. We've gotten obviously a much more recent Vault Guardsman that's a better figure, but this one was pretty cool for a while. Looks kind of like a robot, though. Here, let's grab some more caps. So here is yet another Captain America. So this, I believe, is going to be a movie cap. I think this may even be from First Avengers. I'm sure some of you guys know exactly what it's from and can help me out. It's definitely Chris Evans' movie cap. He's got a gun, which I never really loved seeing Captain America with a gun, but it does have so that's the movie shield. So the star divided like that is the movie shield. Very cool. Looks a lot like what Brian Hitch drew when he drew Cap on the Ultimates. And speaking of, here is a older, I want to say this is probably still a Toy Biz or maybe an early Hasbro Captain America, much more comic shield there, a little bit bulkier, a little bit angrier face sculpt, but really nice detail in his chainmail. He's got his gloves and some of his tech gear on, but another sweet Captain America. If you love Captain America, we did an entire mystery box of Captain America, and I did a top 10 Captain America figures of all time, which I really love that video, so you may want to check it out. Oh boy, so much good stuff. Gray Hulk. So Hulk was gray in his very first appearance. He turned green after like 2 or 3 issues. This is a gray Hulk. Let's see if we can find a year on this. 2008. So, definitely an older figure from one of the Hulk lines. I like that. That's pretty solid, a little bit smaller. But here is a Hulk that I have been looking for. I knew I had this figure. I just had no idea where the daggum thing was. Yes, this is the Target exclusive Build-A-Figure Red Hulk. And, I mean, it is so cool. Now, I love that new Red Hulk that is on the same body that all of our other Hulk figures that we've gotten recently is on, but this one's a little bit different. He's got a little bit squarer pecs. He's a little bit more angular. And when you see that face, that is the Red Hulk that was drawn by Ed McGuinness. Period. End of story. This is an Ed McGuinness Red Hulk. And so now that I found him, he is going to go downstairs in my secret lounge where I display all of my best figures, and he's going to be the Red Hulk that's in that display. Partly because I want to mix up the bodies that are down there. That standard Hulk body that Hasbro recently came out with that they put a gray Hulk, a green Hulk, a red Hulk on, it's awesome. But I'm going to use it for the gray Hulk. I'm going to use the Marvel Select that recently came out as the green Hulk, and this is going to be my Red Hulk. So, yes, awesome. Awesome. One more Hulk. Actually, there's another Hulk. Okay, you want to talk about Jack Kirby. I mean, this is Jack Kirby come to life. This is the first appearance Hulk. So here he is as he was originally drawn by Jack Kirby. You can catch the real Frankenstein influence on that book. You know, he would turn into the Hulk at night. During the day, he was puny Bruce Banner. He was kind of a mindless beast. But this is the Gray Hulk that was in Marvel Legends. He's got such a heavy brow that really creates that, and how thick that upper lip is. I mean, the comparison of his upper lip with that nose just really gets the monster in this thing. Oh, that's so good. And this is an old figure, I want to say, 2005. So this thing is 16 years old and still looks absolutely perfect and brand new. Oh, that's great. Let's grab, I see another, and another Hulk. Let's grab this one, though. So look at how cool this is. Another Gray Hulk, but this is from a little bit later on in the comics. This is the Smart Hulk, Gray Hulk, Mr. Fixit. So Peter David did a decades-long run on the Incredible Hulk and is really kind of considered the definitive Hulk writer. And he worked with some unbelievable artists, Todd McFarlane, Dave Cannown, can't pronounce it. Just some great guys. And so Toy Biz actually gave him a subline. This says 1996. So what? That's 25 years old. This figure is 25 years old, but it's the Mr. Fixit Smart Hulk. Look at the great sculpting that was done 25 years ago. He's got ball jointed shoulders. He's got this incredible gun accessory. You know, it doesn't have ball hips, but he still gets into a variety of poses. I love how his feet are like busting out of his shoes. You know, he gets so much action with his tie swinging, and he's been shot at. He's got a bullet hole in his tie. Oh, Mr. Fixit, you are great. Absolutely great. Let's get out of Hulkland for a little while. Here is a modern Saber-tooth figure. I don't really know a lot about this one other than to say it's a modern Saber-tooth figure. It's pretty cool. Kind of a generic body. Not really a lot going on here. He's got the Saber-tooth hands, and he's got a pretty good head sculpt, but, you know, we'll throw him over with our X-Men and see what's up with that. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos, you know how much I love this character, particularly how much I love his late 90s Toy Biz figure. This is Beta Ray Bill. This is one of Thor's staunchest allies. He has his hammer, Stormbreaker, which is really nice. It's got kind of a gold sheen to it. Good sculpt of Bill. Opening jaw. Unfortunately, because he's been in this box, his little helmet wings have gotten a little bit wonky, but really great Beta Ray Bill. This is the first. I want to say this is the first of the Beta Ray Bill figures. Let's see if there's a date anywhere on him. Don't see it right off the bat. I like this cape too. I like how flowing that cape is, and it's a real rubbery one, so it's got a little bit more movement to it. But Beta Ray Bill was defending his people. He was on a spaceship hurtling through space as his people were looking for a new world to inhabit, and he was the sworn protector. And through a classic Marvel mix-up, he gets into a fight with Thor. Well, at that time, Thor's hammer still had its enchantment that if it left his hands for more than, 60 seconds, it converted back into a cane, and Thor reverted back to his mortal form of Donald Blake. Well, even the cane, no one who is unworthy could pick it up. Well, Bill, being the honorable warrior protecting his people, picked up the cane, tapped it, and boom, instantly gained the powers of Thor, just like it says on the inscription on Mjolnir. And so they ended up going to Asgard. They had a battle. Beta Ray Bill won, but Odin forged him a new Uru hammer so that he could continue to defend his people. Awesome. I love me some Beta Ray Bill. He's so good. I see some Fantastic Four, but I also see actually a really cool box set of figures. So this is the Young Avengers set of figures. So this is Iron Lad, who is actually Kang. If you are not up to date on your Kang history, there's plenty of videos out there about Kang. But this is a future version of Kang slash Immortus, who came back to get together with other young heroes, such as Patriot, who is the grandson of the original Black Captain America, as well as Hulkling, who is a shapeshifter because he's part Skrull. And we should have his partner in heroing and in life. Wiccan should be somewhere down here as the fourth. They came with these cool stands, which is neat. I'd actually like for Hasbro or Toy Biz to bring those back because they are like super handy. Here he is. Here is Wiccan. So Wiccan was one of the twin children of Vision and Scarlet Witch. So lots of legacy stuff going on with Young Avengers. That very first, actually the first two series of Young Avengers were utterly brilliant. I mean, just absolutely terrific. I'm gonna get his name wrong, but it was Alan Heidelberg. They brought in a huge comic fan, but a TV movie guy. I think he had cut his teeth on the OC at the time to come in and create Young Avengers with Jimmy Chung, and just beautiful figures, great comic, great story, lots of depth to it. Really added a great deal to the Avengers legacy and the generational aspect of the Avengers. Kind of like JSA and the Justice League, this kind of created that sort of generational aspect for Avengers in Marvel Comics. You know, you can't get enough of this figure. This is truly one of my favorite Spider-Man villains figures. This is Hobgoblin, and it is just perfect. I mean, we don't even have to really talk about it because it is so perfect. This is the perfect John Romita Jr. / Ron Friends 1983 Hobgoblin. You know, Hobgoblin was, I've told you all this before, the villain in my very first Spider-Man comic book, issue 250, and he looked exactly like this. So I have several of these because it's a freaking masterpiece. Cannot get enough of that. Oh, look who snuck in the box. Y'all see Big Red down there? Let's go through some FF figures first, though. Oh, here's Ben Grimm, the ever-loving thing. Nice figure. I think this was a Hasbro figure that was it in a 2-pack potentially? Really good rock design. That's a good solid figure. But I saw some more FF. Yep. Here is Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. So this is a Fantastic Four movie figure. I think this is probably from FF2, Rise of the Silver Surfer, because here is the Jessica Alba Susan Storm. Got a nice kind of translucent plastic effect for her invisibility thing. She's, talk to the hand. Pretty cool. And then, of course, Reed Richards. Owen Gruffeld, I believe, was the actor's name. I love it. I love it when they have the matching costumes. And that's a really good threesome there with not quite a movie accurate thing, but nice little set of Fantastic Four figures in this box. Awesome. One of the more interesting creations of the 1990s, the Sentry. So this is the bearded Sentry. There was a couple of variants of this figure. I think with beard, without beard, bright yellow, dirty yellow. I kind of prefer the bright yellow. The idea was that the Sentry was created back in the early days of Marvel by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, and then was forgotten about. And then he came back, and none of the other heroes remembered him. And I believe it was Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee that did the original Sentry miniseries. And again, new idea. This was a time when Marvel was financially bankrupt, and they were willing to take some chances, willing to tell some stories that you were not going to get at a different era when it was all about just cranking out, printing money month after month so that we can make some more movies. But you got some really super creative Sentry ideas. Gosh, he really does have kind of a Jesus-y look to him, doesn't he? The sculpting of this figure. And, kind of as your Marvel Superman analog, you can see where that might come from. Well, I said his name, and here he is. The Man of Steel, Superman. What a cool figure. So I know exactly what this is. This is a DC Direct Superman figure. But because DC Direct were so great about giving us artist-specific representations, this is the Frank Quietly Superman from All-Star Superman, the book that Grant Morrison wrote and Frank Quietly drew, and for my money is the best Superman story that's ever been told. And part of it is because they just really broke down what makes Superman great. And Frank Quietly's art just brought that to life in so many ways. I've got to find a special place for this figure because it is just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Who's next? Nick Fury. Anybody ever seen this trench coat before? If you're a Marvel Legends fan, you've seen this trench coat on about 43 different figures. Doc Samson. Here's a Hulk friend / foe. You know, we don't get enough people with long green hair in our lives, so here's Doc Samson. Not the Flash, just Doc Samson. The first Marvel Legends Namor figure. So it's always interesting when you call the line Marvel Legends, and then the first figure you produce of one of Marvel's most famous figures is in one of his least well-known looks. This is like the 1970s Namor. He does have his, ankle wings, but the vest and stuff is definitely kind of from his 70s run. Terrific Namor head sculpt, though. Look at those ears. He's got little earrings on that side, the arched eyebrows. Clearly Namor, a little bit funky. I prefer my shirtless Namor, to be honest. Oh, yeah, and then here is Toy Biz's original shot at Doctor Doom. So they did blind variants where it could have been a Doombot, it could have been the scarred face of Doom underneath, but there was no way really to know in the packaging. But this is a sweet Doctor Doom. Hopefully we can find his mask and his cape and stuff in this box. I love the fact that they didn't scrimp and they gave him his jetpacks back here. Actually, I wonder if this is the second. This may actually be the second Doctor Doom and not the first. Yeah, because it says Hasbro and it says 2012. So this is definitely a later Doom figure. I think this came in that very rare Fantastic Four line that led to the Dragon Man Build-A-Figure. It had the Dragon Man figure in it. He wasn't a Build-A-Figure. But very, very cool Doom. Got a couple of Silver Surfer surfboards. So that must mean here he is, Norrin Rad himself. So this is not the surfboard that goes with this figure. This one is, because this is actually a metal sheet, and our main man surfer here has got magnets on his feet. And so you can get this figure, kind of get him into his surfer-like position, and there it goes. Magnets stick right there, and so he can be the guardian of the spaceways, the herald of Galactus. Gonna be a lot of love for Silver Surfer coming up when that Galactus HasLab figure hits. This is, I think, the first of the Marvel Legends Silver Surfers. Kind of a wonky head sculpt, but he really does look sort of alien. He's got that kind of Area 51 sort of alien head to him, but he can get into some pretty sweet poses. And the fact that you don't have to worry about foot pegs or anything like that, you can just place his feet anywhere on that board and the magnets allow it to stick, is awesome. Talked about Captain America. Let's talk about Captain Britain. Really cool figure. The one thing I don't like about this figure is how bright the paint on the head sculpt is, and then how kind of muddied it is here. This is that same body that they used on like Wonder Man and Black Panther, and it's got like a really fine, detail to it, which doesn't fit. It doesn't, this kind of a kit bash doesn't work super well. Hey, who are you? Wolvie. Kind of an astonishing X-Men Wolvie. Very cool. I mean, we talk about Wolverine all the time, but that's a pretty cool, astonishing X-Men Wolverine. I see that, dude. Oh, yeah. So just like that Hobgoblin, here is the other villain that is just true perfection as far as sculpting. So John Romita Jr., John Romita Sr. This is the perfect Green Goblin figure. And yes, I know that we got one on the retro card back not long ago. It does not hold a candle to this one. It just cannot compete with that head sculpt. That head sculpt is directly out of the comics. I mean, that is issue 39 of Amazing Spider-Man come to life right there. Goblin comes to Queens. He abducts Peter Parker. He tells him that he knows his secret identity, and he becomes the Spider-Man's greatest villain for all time. And he looked exactly like this. Ooh. Oh, that's a good figure. God. Another one of the Diamond Select. So this one, again, 7 inches, a little bit bigger, Black Widow. I think this is meant to be a comic version of Natasha. I think. Doesn't really look like Scarlett Johansson, so we're going to say that's a classic comic Black Widow figure. I always loved this Iron Man. This was the one that came in the 2-pack. I liked him because he was a little bit thinner. You know, some of our Iron Men were kind of bulky, but what I really loved about him was this red metallic paint. Unfortunately, it looks like it's bled a little bit on his knees, but look at how shiny that red metallic paint is. They did such a good job with this, and the contrast between the metallic paint and the yellow. Ooh, that's so good. For my money, that's still one of our best classic Iron Man figures, 70s, 60s, 70s, early 80s Iron Man figures. You know, I know it's not quite the same scale as what we got with the 80th anniversary figure, but truly, I don't know that the 80th anniversary figure is better than this one. I mean, it's just, that is such a good classic Iron Man. Oh, look at you. You're hanging out in here. So is this X-Force Deadpool? You know, Shadowland Deadpool, Dark Visions Deadpool. Same costume, different paint job. Everybody's favorite merc with a mouth. He'll have to go somewhere else too. S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. So in those 2-packs, they gave us a bunch of different kind of S.H.I.E.L.D. agent bodies. And so I stuck Tony Stark's head on it. So that Tony Stark head came with this Iron Man figure, so you could actually have a Stark head on the top of this. Those were pretty sweet 2-packs, and they came out kind of when Hasbro was sort of lost and didn't really know what to do with the Marvel Legends line. 2008 is what it says on that leg. So they got the license in like 2007, and they put out a couple of waves. They put out the Terrax Build-A-Figure wave. They put out the Blob Build-A-Figure wave, and it just kind of petered out and died. And all they really released between this and like 2012, when you had the return of Marvel Legends with this figure, were, you know, some of these 2-packs that had Black Widow and had S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, it had Elektra, and it had that sweet Iron Man. It had some Fantastic Four, some Johnny Storm and Sue Storm 2-packs, but, you know, we were in a real desperate time for figures, but thankfully the line survived and has more than survived. And you can see we get a ton of heads. You know, there's Maria Hill's head, there's a Winter Soldier head. Oh, look, there's an Electro head. I wonder if that's going to be coming in handy soon with a certain movie making its way to theaters. But we got, you know, hey, we're at the bottom of the box. Let's go with 2 of the all-time greatest Marvel figures ever. Here is Weapon X Wolverine, and this is the original Toy Biz version. So this is the old one. In my top 10 Wolverine figures, I used the Hasbro version of this, but this Toy Biz Weapon X is still really awesome. I mean, you just... He's so sinewy, and he just, those muscles and everything, he just looks so feral. And he's got the, you know, this pack like attaches right there to his belt somehow. And, you know, of course his adamantium claws were a little bit bent, but, you know, Barry Windsor Smith did the origin of Wolverine's kind of adamantium in this Weapon X storyline. It was so good. And then, hey, last but not least, we got to save the big guy for last. Here is the Amazing Spider-Man. And this actually, oh, this is a custom. You can see where somebody's tried to paint on it. And, you know, it's kind of trying to create like a McFarlane Spider-Man out of whatever this poor thing was. Oh, he's got broken legs and whatnot. Hey, guys, listen. Thanks for watching my mystery box. If you've gotten this far, you should absolutely subscribe to Carbon Scoring. We do videos like this every week where we really dig into the history of comics and action figures. Sometimes we do mystery boxes. Sometimes we do deep dives into the history of figures. We love us some Spider-Man around here, and the fun is just getting started. So please join in. If you love Carbon Scoring and you want to show it, we got some merch available down below. So some sweet hoodies and t-shirts and stickers from Carbon Scoring. And listen, can't wait to see you guys next week. Got big things planned coming up in the next few weeks, particularly with the debut of Spider-Man No Way Home. So hope to see you then. Bye.